Ladies and gentlemen, it is my
The
privilege.
NBCC National Construction Conclave held recently in New Delhi marked a new era in the infrastructure industry in India. The conclave's broad theme was providing sustainable premium housing for all. The event was kick-started with an opening address by the Central Vigilance Commissioner, Mr. K.V. Chaudhary, who outlined the importance of providing quality housing in India.
But the fact remains that there is a huge need for housing, and not only housing, some kind of a quality housing at various levels. Now, as of now, NBCC, which is concentrating on a particular segment of housing, I am sure with conferences like this and the dynamic leadership of Mr. Mittal and the Honorable Minister and the Board of Directors will slowly take up the areas of construction which are relevant to other sectors of the other segments of the society also.
Housing for all.
The conclave encompassed two broad technical sessions, namely Housing for All, Redensification and Redevelopment, and Waste to Wealth, Waste Management. Technical Session 1 started with industry stakeholders and policymakers deliberating on issues relating to PM's Vision 2022, Housing for All. One of the panelists, Mr. Ravi Kant, Chairman and MD, HUDCO, gave insights into the vision while expressing concern over the shortage of skilled manpower in the construction industry.
The technical people, the skilled people in construction houses are very, very short. This aspect also has been seized off in the Housing for All, providing the skilled, and the government has created a department even. I hope that will be also addressed.
The Vision 2022 scheme envisages a massive infrastructure build-up in India soon. But that will not be a reality before a number of pressing issues and challenges are addressed. These were the views of Geetambar Anand, President of CREDAI. He also explained what Housing for All actually means.
First, we must understand what is the challenge, what is the number of houses that we need in this country by 2022, which PM has been talking about, Housing for All. 11 crore houses, like Mr. Chaudhary just said. Where do we need these houses? In your metros, you just need about 2 crore houses. This Make in India is not going to happen in the metros. It's going to happen maybe in an Aligarh or a Moradabad, or maybe, in a Ludhiana. Unfortunately, all of us are only looking at the urban area of 2 crore jo unit chahiye, but nobody is talking about these areas, these 4 crore houses in tier 2, tier 3, 5 crore houses in tier 4, 5. And these are the areas which need to be planned today so that we don't have unauthorized, rampant, illegal construction, and there's a shortage of housing, infrastructure, and it's a big mess. That is what we need to address today.
The latter half of the conclave witnessed the presence of former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and Minister for Urban Development, Venkaiah Naidu, along with the CMD of NBCC, Dr. Anup Kumar Mittal. Dr. Mittal took over the dais and elucidated on the themes and ideas behind organizing this conclave.
You see, being a public sector company of Government of India, and that too Navratna company, we thought that NBCC should also contribute in technology, and particularly related to construction. If you see entire country, we are lacking in R&D and other things, in particularly construction. So we thought we must start some technical event on construction. So this is the basic aim behind this event. And our Prime Minister and President Government vision and aim is to have house for everybody by 2022. And since NBCC is a company which is involved in construction of housing, we thought this is the subject we must choose, because finally we have to construct almost 50 to 80 million houses in next 5 to 6 years, and NBCC will also contribute in that. So that's why we are debating on this subject, how this can be made, how this can be achieved, this target, and which technology we should achieve to construct 8 crore houses in next 5 to 7 years.
Next up in the proceedings was a speech by the Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu, who put forward the government's perspective regarding urbanization and development. He impressed on the audience the government's keenness to provide housing for all, but also suggested a collaborative approach for the same, while also pointing out several bottlenecks which need to be addressed.
Government of India is very keen to provide housing for all by 2022. It requires a huge investment. And a government alone cannot make this investment, so we have to look to the other avenues also. This is a basic need for humans, could play a key role in accommodating high urban growth in India. However, many structural issues such as high gestation period of housing projects, accelerating land and construction costs, high fees and taxes, limited and expensive capital, unfavorable development norms, low affordability by economically weaker sections and low-income group households are some of the bottlenecks restricting desired growth in the sector with respect to housing demand. We have a shortage about 2 crore houses in urban areas of the country, and 95% of this shortage is in EWS, economically weaker section, and LIG, low-income groups. This massive shortage of houses in urban area is primarily due to rapid urbanization. People are migrating to cities in search of better livelihood opportunities, but unfortunately, they are not able to get a better life in urban areas, and slums are increasing day by day, and there is no proper growth of the urban development in the country. Urbanization is a reality whether you like it or not. People are moving towards urban area for education, employment, entertainment and economic opportunities. People are coming to urban areas. Not that they don't like their villages. It is unstoppable now. It is unstoppable. By 2030, more than 40% of the population of the country is going to live in villages, urban areas. And it may go up to 50% also in the coming days. So that being the case, we have to understand the reality. And I also say sometimes in a lighter manner, even I have migrated from rural to urban. I was a rural development minister earlier, now I am urban development minister. Friends, I am thankful to NBCC for giving me this opportunity. My belief is always one should go on learning. Even if you are a minister, you must go on learning. The motto should be learn, 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 not yearn, yearn, yearn. That should be the motto of all people. And I have come here to learn. Like you people, I am also eager to hear Kalamji. Let us hear him. Thank you very much.
Dr. Kalam believes in constructive...
At the end, the conclave was graced by a keynote address from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Dr. Kalam praised the NBCC for building some important infrastructure in the country today. He also pointed out the importance of green and sustainable buildings for the future of the construction industry in India.
I believe one of the big challenges going to be our buildings, the future buildings, has to withstand not only earthquakes, combination of tsunami also, where India has experienced. And there's a big lesson when I visited Nicobar Island. Lot of our people, service people, lost their life there. And I saw some buildings, some construction, it was not damaged, the Nicobar Island. I feel that your team members should visit Nicobar and understand the type of combination of tsunami when it comes. The waves come in and 10 meters, then 20 meters, then 30 meters. How certain construction would stand. So it's a big lesson waiting there. For success in all your mission, you have to become a creative leader. Even politics. Creative leadership means exercising the vision to change the traditional role from the commander to coach, manager to mentor, from director to delegator, and from one who demands respect to one who facilitates self-respect for a prosperous and developed India, happy India. The important thrust will be on the generation of number of creative leaders. Apart from this, what is needed, the spirit among the youth, 600 million youth, that I can do it, that will transform it, we can do it, that will transform, a nation can do it. My best wishes to all of you friends. God bless you.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for the special presentation on ET Now. Today we are bringing to you a very special coverage on the issue of waste management. Rather, the topic that we are going to debate and try and find solutions to is waste to wealth to waste management. Is it really feasible in the current context? What are the solutions available? What are the regulations in place? Is it really enough? Let me start with Sunita Narayan, needs very little introduction, who's been doing a lot of work in this arena. And Sunita, when you look at the topic today, waste to wealth management, and here we are assuming that the linkage is direct. That when I see waste, I can actually utilize it and get returns from it. And that automatically incentivizes me to do more in that direction. Is it as simple as that?
No, Paramita, and I think it's time we actually became real about how we are going to do waste management in India. I mean, we've had this whole, today, let's be very clear that we know that we are in India. We know that we are approaching a human settlement by the piles of waste that we see around it.
Right.
It's become a sign of modernity in India is to have waste. And we need to be able to find a model in which we can actually do waste management. And my fear is in the last 5 years, we have kind of got lost and swayed by the idea that somehow there'll be businesses that will come up and deal with the waste and everything will disappear. And it hasn't happened, Paramita. So it's time we became real. We actually understood that waste is a problem, that each person in every household generates waste. We are responsible for that waste. We have to learn to pay for the cost of that waste disposal. We need rules so that we are forced to segregate waste, not leave it to the state and to the government somehow to deal with the waste. And Paramita, we also need to find the right incentives, regulations, so that where we can make wealth, we also can make wealth.
So Dr. Aluwale, let me bring you in here, because as an economist, you also need to look at the psychology of the consumer, or rather the user in this case, or the waste producer. And you have the individual, and the premise that Sunita seems to be working on is individuals cannot be incentivized because there isn't a model in place which really gives me the kind of returns that I can hope to achieve currently in the current context. But
I'm not saying that. You're not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Okay, you're not saying that yet. But I like to twist it a little bit when I play devil's advocate.
Let me say that I completely agree with everything that Sunita has said, and let me just take it a little bit further. What I would say is that if we are going to be urbanizing, if we are going to be generating waste at the rate at which, we have seen in the past 10 years, it's only going to escalate. I think we need to begin by raising the awareness to reduce waste, to segregate waste at source between wet waste and dry waste, to include the rag pickers and others who have been rummaging through garbage.
Isn't that already being done?
No, it is not being done. But let me tell you, there are examples. There are cities, small towns like Pammal, there is Rajkot, which even before the municipal solid waste management rules were set up in 2000, in the 1990s, these towns were doing a number of things right, where through community engagement, through this penalty, in Rajkot, the students are invited 1 day a week to go and give dand if there are litter bugs.
Because today, if you look at it, and let's start with the large urban centers, which is your Delhi, Mumbai, the Kolkata, the Bangalores of the world, which are really seeing the pace of urbanization, and of course the other large metros. Because now there are regulations in place, and which is honestly a headache to me, for instance, as a homemaker. I have to put the wet stuff in the green bucket, the non-recyclable stuff in the red bucket, and you know, all these different colored buckets. And I've been told that if I don't do that, I will be penalized.
Yeah, it has to be done that way. I think we need regulations.
We need to make sure that you are penalized. The fact is that that doesn't happen, Paramita.
Okay.
And the other problem is that we know that there is no system for using segregated waste. So we also assume that once I segregate at my household level, he'll go and mix it up. So why should I bother? The only place that I have actually seen this happening is where you have a situation where people have no option but to segregate.
So Sanchita Jindal, you are representing the government, you are representing the entity of the government which makes the rules and regulations. Most of the time, if you look at various industries, we say that we are over-regulated. There are too many rules and they are not implemented.
Under-enforced.
And under-enforced, right. Over-regulated, under-enforced. How would you respond to that? What is the current regime doing? Because there are a lot of big banner schemes, you know, smart cities and urban development, all of that. Great marketing, but what about the action plan?
Yeah, Paramita, if you means whatever the question is you asked, I strongly believe that there has been very less implementation, because you know that if solid waste management rules were notified way back in 2000, and the condition which we see of the cities, we know that how much these are enforced. So over the period, you know, the rules and regulations, these are the dynamic situations. As you go, you learn from your daily routines, and you learn from your mistakes, or you learn from your experiences, and you revise the rules.
Right.
So we have, over the period, we have realized as a Ministry of Environment and Forest that there is a lot of, although the rules are in place, but there are quite a number of impediments which need to be sorted out. The first thing which we thought was why there are no success stories even in composting, which is very well-known technology available, because for the composting, the mixed waste goes and the compost quality is not up to the mark, and compost also has the heavy metals into it. So over the period, we realized that segregation is the key source and key element of waste management in the country. But going before that, I would like to comment that segregation comes later. First, we have to reduce our waste. We have to learn to reduce. You must be knowing this year's UN logo is for the Environment Day, 7 billion people, one dream, one planet, and use with care. That was something. So even I believe that unless we all start using with care and throwing with care and reduce our waste at household, that is the first element. Second is the segregation, which we have introduced in our revised. As you know, I have told earlier also, we are recently coming out with new regulations on municipal solid waste management 2015, which are on our website and which are under, and we have introduced segregation. Now coming to the point which both the panelists have told, that now in that we are all said and done, polluter, there is a principle called polluter pays principle.
Right.
So according to that, we are generating the waste, and we need to pay for its disposal.
Okay.
So we are bringing that also in the element that, and third is the spot fines.
Okay. So we are starting this discussion, we're talking about the individual first, and of course how do we really create a structure for the individual, but we've also talked about the role of municipal corporations.
Yes.
And Dr. Krishnan, you have been part of the government, part of the Ministry of Urban Development, and clearly, as Sanchita said, that there are regulations, a lot more, maybe some fine-tuning needs to be done as far as regulations are concerned. But when it comes to municipal corporations, their ability, their forward planning, they're almost a case study in themselves in terms of the inefficiencies that they spawn and their inability to handle the problem in the scale that they are. We just put it all at the door of the municipal corporations?
I would think that when we talk of smart cities, the fundamental is that they have to be clean cities, number one. Number two, there is no doubt that everybody is accepting that cities should be clean. It is at the national level or state level or citizen level, everywhere we are. So that environment is there about appreciation. The issue is that what do we require? We need three things. One is we need technology, we need money, and third is we need capacity. Capacity. Now the question is, municipalities are the entity that have to really handle the solid waste matter. There is no way the government of India or state governments can handle, and we have seen that under JNNURM, a lot of money was pumped in for solid waste management programs, and state governments took over the entire lever. All the levers or controls were with the state government of selecting the technology, awarding the contracts, and then cancelling the contracts. Everything was with the state governments. And as a result, hundreds of cities failed. They gave the contracts and the contracts.
So you're saying it was a mistake to give the power to the state governments?
It is I would put it this way. The right thing is to give power, empower the municipalities. Empowering in three things. One is empowering them legally. Empowering them with staff that can manage the whole show. And then empowering them with the capacity of legal provisions to levy solid waste taxes and penalize people who are not complying with the laws. The power and everything must be with them. It's not such a rocket science which must be handled at the national level. It is not a state subject in a real sense. It is a local subject altogether, 100% A to Z. It is a state subject.
Mr. Chaudhary, let me bring you in here. NBCC as a government entity, was it a mandate which was given to you that, listen, make New Moti Bagh a success and we'll give you more such projects to do? I mean, how expensive was it? Take us through the costs involved, because the assumption is because you're a government entity, hence you were perforce sort of pushed in that direction, and hence perhaps the whole economics of it, whether it was viable or not, perhaps were not as important. How would you respond?
For the New Moti Bagh, we are recycling everything, and there was nothing like that. If you do this thing well, you will be given one more project.
Right.
And it was on our own initiative to recycle everything, including the solid waste, the STP, and it has become a model that the entire waste of that colony doesn't go out. We are not loading the sewers, we are not loading the STPs, we are not giving in load for solid waste management. It is being done there. Now the same we have followed for the East Kidwai Nagar. You see, it will have a population of something around 20,000. And can you imagine 20,000 people not creating any waste?
That's inconceivable. How do you do that? Because the waste has to go out in some form. The solid waste.
We will treat the sewage there itself, recycle the water for horticulture, and surplus water we have even planned to give to the NDMC or DDA for gardening purpose.
Right.
And we will produce some pellets which will work as the compost for the horticulture in the campus. It is 70% green. We are building only on 30%. So we have taken care of each and everything.
So Professor Malay, why don't we have more such examples? We are seeing a lot of piecemeal efforts, smaller towns, as Dr. Ahluwalia mentioned, where success stories are happening. But what's your analysis?
The real solution lies for the cities, which is the metro, mega and major cities, to have the centralized processing plant with state-of-the-art technology. There has to be a composting as integral part.
And that cost will be borne by the central government.
That part has to be, I am coming to that. There has to be a capex involvement of a private sector. And unless private sector is a part of the investment, he operates the facility as a business enterprise, because there is an issue of marketing of the recovered product, not only compost. Tomorrow it will be refuse-derived fuel, because as you have more and more wealth, you have more and more of this filth. Diapers, sanitary napkin, racks and textile, chitra, juta, chappal, packaging material, they all have to become the part of the
But what about Sunita's point that they started out by saying, "Hame sab kuch de do, we'll make the money," but then along the way somehow they realized, listen, there were
114 contracts in this country. 43 of them had materialized. Unfortunately, the 4 parties were first generation entrepreneurs. They jumped into the well thinking there will be a lot of money. They did not have a provision for OPEX, operational support. And nowhere in the world, I have been providing assistance, entire cost of waste management can be recovered from the MSW.
Good point.
Because we have rag picker, we have throwing our other material. So 60% cost can be recovered, 40% operational cost has to be borne by municipality.
I think we've got some great insights and we've ended on a very positive note. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.